Five Nights at Freddy's. I may upset some hardcore fans, but when I give a review, I give it honestly. And honestly, I was excited about this movie and I felt let down and disappointed by the end. I get it that if you understand the lore of the franchise, the video games and such, this movie was great for you, but take the nostalgic feelings out of it and really tell me how was this a decent to good movie. It wasn't. And in fact, after watching FNAF 4 times, I felt even more solid in my stance that this wasn't a good movie. Now, I'm not going to break down every scene. I'm going to give my thoughts on the movie and why I think it didn't work. Does that mean I wouldn't want to see a sequel? No, of course not. I do, but I would hope the story was a bit better. Number one, they spoiled the movie in the intro credits, but I missed that. I went into this movie with zero knowledge of what I was going to see. I liked the beginning with security guard trying to get away from the unseen force, only to get captured and trapped in this torture device with this machine. When Mike is fired for attacking the father who he mistaken for kidnapping a child, he has to meet with his career counselor, Steve Raglan. But here's the first part of me guessing the movie. Raglan is scolding Mike, and when he comes across his last name, he stops and becomes suddenly friendly. So right then, I knew Raglan was a bad guy. I've seen enough movies. So he offers Mike the job at Freddys. But Mike declines it due to the hours. And at a meeting with the school teacher, we meet his rude aunt and weird-faced lawyer. They discuss how Mike is unfit to be a guardian for this kid, Abby, his sister, and she hands him court papers. I do want to say that his sister was one of my least favorite characters. Smart mouth, know-it-all, doesn't listen, and she comes off very ungrateful. So Mike accepts the job. At this point, I was thinking, well, there's only one main character. Who are the animatronics supposed to go after? Trust me, we will get to that. They shoehorned this part in. We'll get to that soon. But I don't know if we find out Mike's brother Garrett was kidnapped as a kid. So boom, right there. I knew whoever Raglan was, he was the guy who kidnapped Garrett. So obvious. I say that to state he was reading a dream theory book, which they believe you can go back into your dreams and notice things that you didn't in the moment or something like that. Which in real life is not how memories and such work, but I digress. So a lot of the movie follows Mike sleep, trying to gain more knowledge of that day. Even the babysitter states that that's literally all he does. So night one, Mike is sleeping, replays that day and sees 5 children who witness it. Mike goes after them. They run. Night 2, same thing. He chases them and he gets cut by one. And when he wakes up, he's bleeding in real life. Now, again, there's been a lull. So I'm wondering, when will it pick up? Enter very poor acting policewoman Vanessa Shelley, 2 first names. And she's way too friendly, way too helpful. So I'm like, boom, she must be the daughter of Raglan. It was right there in your face. Didn't surprise me that I was correct. Poorly executed. And who wrote her dialogue? Very poor. She basically shows him around, introduces him to the animatronics, and tells him about how the kids went missing. So here's the shoehorn part. You find out the aunt is working with the babysitter and her boyfriend to mess up Mike's life so that she can get custody of his sister, Abby. They come up with a plan to break into Freddys and destroy the place so that he loses his job. I thought the animatronics was a night thing, but apparently they're awake all day. So the crew goes in, they are quickly killed. I still feel that the scene was forced in the movie, but hey, it needed action. And let me tell you how bad Miss Two Names is at her job. She calls Mike to tell him Freddys was broken into, and she found his sleep medicine. So they go off and have this lovely story about his background so she has an understanding of him. My issue with this is, 1, are you really supposed to go to the security guard's house? 2, she didn't know that the obviously dead bodies were in the back. And 3, doesn't she have anything better else to do, like a boyfriend? So because the babysitter was killed at Freddys, Mike doesn't have a sitter and brings Abby, his sister, to Freddys. While in dreamland, because he's always sleeping, his sister gets up and meets the animatronics. After being awoken by screams, Mike goes to find Abby being tickled by Freddy and crew, which is ridiculous because nobody screams like death to simulate being tickled. And how can they tickle with those big animatronic hands? Officer Two Names is there, of course, and this is what really ruined the movie for me. The officer, Mike, Abby, and the animatronics build a freaking fort to sleep under. I'm done. Now I get there's kids possessing the animatronics, but what the hell was that? Oh, and if I never stated that the animatronics were possessed by the missing children, sorry. After Abby gets a bit injured with the animatronics, Officer First Names tell Mike not to bring Abby back. Really weird how in a couple of cases she just switches on a dime. Again, the dialogue stinks. Mike gets the aunt to watch Abby the next night. I think maybe he overdoses on sleeping pills. And that night, the kids say if he wants to live in this dream forever, give them Abby. And he agrees briefly before saying no. They attack him in the dream, and he wakes up in the same contraption as the security guard earlier. He reluctantly releases himself by unscrewing the bolt that the guard had started to unscrew. Another tremendously horrible scene was Abby at home with her aunt, and old Freddy shows up at the house to kill the aunt. Then they catch an Uber back to Freddys. Couldn't believe it. And then they stood outside for 45 seconds before going in. Why? And how did he get there? He walked? He rode a bike? A skateboard? It's ridiculous. But here's the great ending to this even already great movie. Sarcasm. Old Officer Double First Names finds and helps Mike, then revealing the very obvious truth that she was Raglan Afton's daughter. He was the bunny that lured the kids away that you see in the pictures. She tells him that he put the kids inside the animatronics, and that's why the police couldn't find them, and controls their souls. How and why? Wish there was more explanation to that. Mike realizes they plan to kill Abby. He grabs some tools to deactivate the animatronics and heads to the restaurant. He disables the animatronics, but they're reactivated by Afton, who's wearing the yellow bunny suit like it's supposed to be some huge reveal. We've only seen the man twice, briefly the whole movie, so they missed me on that. Like, that was so obvious, even to me, and I had no freaking knowledge of this history of this stupid game. Now, sorry, randomly, Abby draws a picture about what really happened, and the animatronics turn and go after Afton, leaving him fatally wounded in the closet. That's all it took. Pictures. And I need an explanation. Is the board some magic board that controls the animatronics? I don't know. It was ridiculous. Oh, and Afton stabbed old Officer First Name's his daughter. So as the animatronics dragged him off to the back, Mike and Abby carried Officer Daddy's girl to the hospital, where she remained, and Mike looks after Abby like nothing happened. No questions about the aunt, at all. Just dead. Nope. No questions. Lawyer didn't say anything. Like, there was 4 people murdered in Freddys. Ain't nobody asked about him. Anyways, outside of the animatronics, I did not like the movie. The jump scare with the little clown animatronic didn't work on me, at least. And I thought that maybe that was his brother. He has a story. He's a character from the game, but I could care less to divulge that info. So yeah, that was Freddy. And I agree with the 30% Rotten Tomatoes score. And I'm sorry, not with what the audience think. Not mad if you're a fan, but my issue is people are saying this movie is underrated. Like, no, it's not. It's bad. Like, not all game the movie ideas are great. Doom wasn't. Silent Hill stunk. Prince of Persia, really? The second Tomb Raider? Stop it. So it's okay if a movie's stinky winky. With that being said, love what you love, but I give this a 2 out of 5 stars.